Hola. Damn it. I started the last video that way. Xin chào. I'm in Vietnam. Speak Vietnamese. I am actually getting really good at Vietnamese. I mean, when I say really good, I just mean compared to other people who've lived here quite a lot longer than me. Because most people don't try to learn Vietnamese because it's so hard. But I'm doing pretty good. I'm starting to be able to communicate. But at any rate, if you haven't watched any of my videos and this is the first time, wow, we got some darkness. This isn't good. Let's see. Let's try to make this a little bit more. Is that better? Anyway, my name is AJ Miller. I am an American daughter in Vietnam. I'm the daughter of a Vietnam War vet who died 2 years ago of leukemia. And during the process of dealing with leukemia, I learned a lot about his experiences in Vietnam. I didn't learn all about it though, because after he died, all of a sudden I get this memoir dropped in my lap where I got to really read what was going on in Vietnam, and it was way more heinous than I thought. And his PTSD, how he functioned the way he did, is beyond me. And so when I was given these memoirs and I tried to read them, I couldn't read them. I would just cry. So I decided through lots of different reasons that I should read them in Vietnam, and that I should put them online so that other Vietnam vets and their children could hear them, because there's a huge gaping wound in our nation, and part of healing is storytelling. And my father told the stories, and he did a really good job of helping me and my family to understand what was going on there. So the light and bright is going in and out. You're gonna have to bear with me. I'm in the middle of a park. It was quiet here a second ago, but you're gonna hear some Vietnamese in the background just to give it some flavor. And I'm currently in the town. Okay, I was here first, but how do you explain that to people when you are still in the ABC level of Vietnamese? Hello. Hello. Xin chào. Um. Can I speak Vietnamese? Eat. Eat Viet. Yep. A little, exactly. Good. Yep. Không khỏe. Không khỏe. Không khỏe. Right? Heo? Heo? You're in my video. Okay. You're in my video. Say xin chào. Or say hello. Hello. You heard me speak a little bit of Vietnamese. Where am I? So the town I'm in right now is called Quy Nhon, which is the town where my father landed in Vietnam with his air cavalry, with the 717th Air Cav and the 3rd of the 17th Air Cav. I have a feeling that they're not going to shut up. So I'm going to have to talk over them, or I'm going to have to move. Well, I'm going to start and see what happens. Yeah, I think I need to pick more solitary places for these things. Anyway, so this story is called, it's me in 1965, not me, but my father in 1965. And it's just setting the stage of how he got to where he got. Sweet Jesus. So anyway, okay. So I'm gonna move. Yes? You can move with me, obviously. And we'll do something else. I did have a spot.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Don't mind me. Let's go over here. You're getting a great view of my chin. But this is what it is to video live when from all over Vietnam, because this is the worst version, but usually what happens is that, because as soon as they see me, like, foreigners are very rare. Foreigners are very rare here. So what happens is that every time I'm videotaping, well, anytime I go anywhere, actually, it's a kind of a big hubbaloo. And then when I'm videotaping, it's off the hook. But I've never seen it quite go off the hook that much. So, pardon the interruption. I'm gonna put a towel underneath me. So anyway, we're in Quy Nhon. Can't say it. Quy Nhon, which, like I said, is the port city where the big aircraft carriers came into to deliver the soldiers to the Central Highlands and Pleiku. And this piece of story is called Me in 1965. This is a picture of my dad's band, ROSIE. He's the guy in the middle. That's 1965. They were playing all over Philadelphia. My dad was a Philadelphia boy. Orland, actually. You know what? I'm not even sure what town. Anyway, Philadelphia kid. And he and his band played all over. And they were actually on the verge of getting pretty popular at the time when some of their people got... Well, I'll let him tell this story, not me. So, me in 1965. I'm speaking as my father. I was attending art school at the Studio School of Art and Design in Philadelphia. I played in a rock band called Odyssey on the weekends, and our band was really good. We had 3 fan clubs in Philadelphia, Norristown, and Allentown, PA. And we played all the high school dances and the community dances we could find. My entire social life was centered around the band. We played only English invasion stuff, and I hated surfing and Motown music. He hated surfing and Motown music the day he died. All about English invasion. He didn't like playing Pink Floyd very much, though. And other kinds of popular music in 1965, so hated all the other stuff. Phil Jacoby played bass, Dave Fields played drums, John Ruto played lead guitar. I played rhythm guitar, and Ed Castle was our lead singer, a Mick Jagger voice. I was 18 years old and attending a 2-year commercial art school in Philly. Phil was 18 and a sophomore at Marquette University, but he played with us while he was at home in the summer of 1965, and we begged him not to go back to school. Hell, we were going places. He quit school to continue playing with us, and he began the enrollment process to Westchester State Teachers College. John, the lead guitarist, was 14 years old and a freshman in high school. Ed, our lead singer, was 16 years old and a junior in high school. Finally, Dave, our drummer, was 18 and still in high school, and he hated it. We were getting more and more popular as a band. We even had a manager. Things were looking promising. We were all listed as 2S, student deferment with the military draft. The Vietnam War was a distant annoyance in 1965, and we paid little attention to it. Things changed in December of that year when Phil, the guy who quit school to play with us, lost his 2S status, and before he could get started as a student at Westchester, he received his draft notice. He was to slow down, sister. He was to report for basic training in January of 1966. I was a long-haired art student playing in a rock band, and I was not seeing eye to eye with my parents. At 18, Dave was still trying to get out of high school, and he hated it. I always loved airplanes and had actually taken flying lessons at age 16. I suggested to Dave and Phil, let's join the Air Force together, and Phil, and Phil won't be drafted and end up in Vietnam as a grunt. The three of us agreed and went off, and off we went to the nearest Air Force recruiter. But the Air Force in 1965 had an 18-month waiting list to get in. It seemed everyone was trying to join the Navy or the Air Force to avoid the Army or Marines as a draftee and a sure trip to Southeast Asia. We weren't sure what to do. On a whim, Phil and I went to the Army recruiter in Norristown just to see what the Army had to offer. Maybe we could be something cool in the Army if we enlisted and chose our MOS. Not sure what that stands for, but it was your job in the Army. The recruiting sergeant showed us pictures of bulldozers, radar screens, kitchens, medical tents, tanks, whatever. And then he brought out a little brochure with a little helicopter and a smiling guy wearing a helmet sitting in the front seat. He said this was a new program called the Warrant Officer Flight Program. He explained if you had a high school diploma, could pass the physical, and could pass a battery of tests, you could become an Army helicopter pilot. Wow. Be a pilot in the military and not be a college graduate? I took the brochure home and told my parents I wanted to try out for this. They didn't take me seriously. Actually, my mother tried to talk me out of it. The Vietnam War had not gotten so unpopular yet, but she knew that I would end up in Vietnam if I did this. My father looked at me, my long hair, my guitar in the corner, my poor performance in school, and my skinny, anemic stature, and he couldn't see it ever happening. But my dad was a flight training cadet during World War II. He was a guy, however, who washed out in intermediate flight training and he never flew again. My dad never talked about that with me, but I always knew he really regretted not making it as a pilot. He told me not to give it a shot. Sorry. He told me to give it a shot. There we go. I went back to the recruiter and I asked what I had to do. He said I had to take a short test right there with him to see if I had the basic knowledge to even take the real test in Philadelphia. He gave me the 10-question English and math test right then and there. I marked the answers in pencil and gave it back to him. After about a minute, he said he had a quota to fill. As he erased one of my answers, he filled in the right answer, which gave me a passing 70%, and he scheduled me to go to Philly for the big test. Long story short, I squeaked by the big test in Philly. I somehow passed the pre-induction physical requirement for flight school, but I was still not quite good enough to get in the Army. I had to sign an affidavit promising the Army that I would gain enough weight for my height while in basic training. I promised I would by signing the paper, and the rest is history. As war protests and draft dodging were becoming the most popular things for my generation to do, I was begging, making silly promises, and signing papers just to have the Army take me. And so they did. Keep them short. That's pre. I could go into flight school and Fort Knox in Kentucky, but I think that's a good topic for a different video, especially since this place is crazy and I don't know how distracting all this noise is. So that was the feel in 1965. My dad was in a band. He was an art student. I know some of the guys, after hearing some of these stories from my dad, were like, "Yeah, your dad. We didn't think he belonged there. He was he was one of the artsy kids." One of them wrote, most of us from that Philadelphia area, we were in trouble with the cops all the time. We were blue collar. And your dad, he was an artist. He was he was a musician. He was sensitive. We knew he shouldn't be there. But my dad wanted to be a pilot, and he wanted to get away from his dad, and off he went and volunteered to go into the Army and get into flight school. So, that's that. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe below and follow along with my father's stories from his trip to Vietnam. Any comments, questions, please comment below. and I will definitely get back with you. So, thank you, and greetings from Queen On. Peace.